Hey guys, what's going on? It's DaleyGaming here, and today I wanted to share with you my top 5 favorite multiplayer World War II games. Now, these are obviously my personal favorite games, so if you would disagree with this list, please let me know down below, but please understand that I am not saying that this is what everyone will love. Alright, let's get started. So, starting off at number 5 is Men of War Assault Squad 2. This is a strategic overhead sort of tabletop game. It is extremely fun to play and extremely competitive. I find myself just engulfed in matches trying my very best to beat the enemy. Like, you get really wrapped into it and really competitive. And it really doesn't stale quickly. You can get wrapped into this game for forever. Not to mention, it has wide mod support, so if you get tired of the vanilla game, or you just want to try something new, there's countless mods you can try out. I do have a top 10 Men of War mods, which you can go check out on my channel, but for a couple examples, there's like the Star Wars mod, the modern day Red Rising mod. There's a lot you can do with this game. Although this game is really fun, there are a good amount of cons to the multiplayer. It is glitchy and full of crashes and desyncs. And it does have kind of a cancerous community. People rage quit all the time deep into matches, and they just smack talk, and it's not the best community ever. And it's not always easy to find a game. This game was released a couple of years ago, and the multiplayer has died down a bit. You can still find matches, but it can be a little difficult. And I would say the biggest con of this game, which to some might be a con, others might not, is the learning curve. It is really big. It can be definitely a tough thing to learn how to play and learn how to play well. So you will get a lot of defeats in your early games against, moderate to hardcore players. Either way, that rounds out Men of War Assault Squad 2. Now for number 4, I decided to go with Day of Infamy. Now this is a really fun and realistic shooter game, and it is of course set in World War II. It has a lot of variety and different play styles, along with a lot of different guns and munitions that you can use. Not to mention, there's a lot of cooperation and teamwork between the players and yourself. It has some beautiful maps and beautiful character models. It's really kind of a unique sort of animation style, I think, and it really is just kind of neat to see in a World War II game because it's a little cartoony. It's not as hardcore, I would say, as other games, but I think it's actually kind of works well and looks cool. Now some cons are I've sometimes found maps very one-sided. Sometimes there are these choke points that you literally cannot get by, and if your team isn't using teamwork, you're just not going to win. Or even if you are using teamwork, a couple well-placed MGs, you just won't get by them. So that can really up the difficulty, and it's not a very forgiving game. Deaths come at a huge price, so if you're into that kind of realism, then definitely go for it. Alright, so at number 3 we have Hearts of Iron 4. This is sort of a tabletop strategy game, and it is on a huge, grand scale. The map is massive. It's the entire map of Earth, with massive play variety. You can play as pretty much every faction on Earth during World War II, and it can be a ton of fun. Not to mention, you can play as almost any, theology or type of government that you want, and so you can really mix up the play styles. Like, you can do a communist United Kingdom or like a fascist United States. There's just so much you can do with this game. And it has really pleasant graphics too, so it's not a sight for sore eyes. And the interface is really pretty easily accessible. The only con I could think of for this game was that it has also, like Men of War Assault Squad 2, a large learning curve. It's definitely not insurmountable, but there's so many components to this game that it does take a while to learn how to play it. So coming up on number 2 is the Sniper Elite series. I decided to lump all of them together as a whole. 2, 3, I think there's a 4 coming out, or it's already come out, I'm not sure. But I have found this multiplayer to be just so fun. It's like this weird stealth multiplayer. Well, you don't have to play stealth, but it really benefits you if you do. And it's all snipers versus snipers, which makes it a very unique game. There's also a lot of weapon variety in the snipers that you use, so if you want accuracy or rapid fire or damage, you just switch it up. There's also secondaries like you can use machine guns and stuff like that, but it's going to come at a cost. it's not as good as the rifles that you're going to be using, and the maps are really long, so you're probably going to want to be sniping anyway. So it's just a really unique multiplayer game. That's why it made it so far on the list. Also, the co-op. I have spent hours with my friends playing the co-op for these games, and they are so fun. The only con is, for some of the games like Sniper Elite 2, and I don't know how 3 is doing. Last time I checked, I didn't find a lot of lobbies, but it can be hard to get into a lobby for this game because it's got a small multiplayer community. Most people play it for the single player, but you definitely will be able to find some games if you look hard enough. Okay guys, and that brings us to number 1. Now please remember that this is my personal opinion. Please share yours down below in the comment sections and let me know if you agree with me. But number 1 is Red Orchestra 2 / Rising Storm. This is such a fun and realistic first-person shooter. It is amazing. The maps are huge and they are so detailed. There's hundreds of routes you can take. There's amazing weapon variety and a really cool sort of army system where you can only choose to have a limited number of each class, and as that class you have certain roles that you have to perform, and if the team is working together you can steamroll the enemy really easily, and if they're not you can fall apart. But it is so fun to get into a game with a couple of friends and do some teamwork in this, and the realism is great. You know, it's kind of like a one-shot kill type of a thing. After a while it can get a little frustrating if you're just on a huge death streak, but then you just got to take it slow, you know? Work your way through buildings really quick, like not quickly, but carefully. Check every corner and you will get kills. Not to mention, getting flanks in this game is so satisfying. Being able to spray down enemies with an MP40 at close range is really cool. I highly recommend this game. Rising Storm is technically a separate game, but it's on the same engine. I also think you can buy a package of them together, but Red Orchestra 2 is sort of like the European front, and Rising Storm is the Japanese battles that the Americans fought. There's also Rising Storm 2 out now, which takes place in Vietnam, so I did not include that on this list, but that is also a really fun game. Out of the two, if you were to choose Red Orchestra 2 or Rising Storm, I would definitely go with Rising Storm, just because it's so fun. I love the Iwo Jima map, I love all of the Pacific Island maps. I think it's really cool and neat. But the Red Orchestra 2 maps are also excellent. Like, it's hard to pick between the two. They're just both so good, and I lumped them together because they're essentially the same game, just in different settings. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Comment, rate, and subscribe if you did, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.